Stop selling, okay? You want to close more jobs? Start serving. Different S word. How can I be of service to you?
So I want to create like webcoms, but I want them to also like come to me for brand strategy.
There we
or
go.
comms
Now, okay,
or-
see? Webcoms, and you want to do brand strategy. So how much would you charge to do webcoms?
1,200.
1,200, okay. 1,200, okay. It doesn't matter if it's totally accurate. We're just working with something here.
Okay.
And then if you were to do brand strategy, how much would you charge?
Like
Well,
2,000.
2,000, okay. So it's only an $800 difference, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. That's not a very big jump. That's very manageable. So people who come to you for a specific skill, right, and you want to ask them to consider you for other things, that's the move. That's a pivot move, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's something I teach. I don't even need to like whiteboard this. I just tell you how to do it, all right? Now, here's how it works. We have very little attention to give things. So when somebody finds out about you, they're going to say, work with Jody. She's great at doing web comms. So it's programmed in their mind, Jody web comms, Jody web comms. That's what they think. They don't think of you for this other thing, right? We form these mental shortcuts all the time. We do it, all of us do it. It's called heuristics. It's also a form of bias, right? We operate on too little information, all of us. It's a survival technique. Now, if you want to move from this to this, here's usually how you do the conversation, okay? You would say, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, for considering me for doing web comms. I really appreciate it. Typically, I charge about $1,200 to do that. But I want to ask you this question. What would that question be?
What about this?
What about this? What about this? What? Be specific. Use your language. I want to hear how you do it. Because I don't want to tell you how I do it. I want to help you do it the way you do it.
Would you be open to considering a reevaluation of what your current brand is and what we can maximize it to be?
Yeah, I would. What does that entail?
So we're going to look at your community base right now and see what your target audience is and creating value in what your brand gives.
And why would that benefit me?
Because you can cultivate a community that is not only there for the moment, but will build loyalty towards your brand and continue your your brand loyalty.
What does brand loyalty mean? What do you mean?
So a lot of times
Our customers are very loyal.
for the moment,
Okay.
but that's
Oh,
not.
you know something we don't?
Yeah, I do.
What do you know?
I know that your brand is successful right now, but how can you ensure success?
I think you're about to tell me, right?
Yes.
Well, tell me.
Well, I'm thinking right now that things change, climate changes, and then the way that we want to build your community is a way that we want people to know that your brand and think of your brand in a certain way and know that you are trusted and that your brand provides something that no other organization currently does or
Okay.
will do.
Have you done this? Have you had this conversation before?
No.
Oh, so you've never had this conversation?
No.
Okay, so this is just an imagined situation.
Yes.
Do you guys understand what she's doing? How's she doing right now in pitching this other thing? How's she doing? You guys give us an honest evaluation. Have you been in this situation before? If you were the client, would you buy? What are you thinking right now? Let's just have a conversation about that before I give you the answer on how to do this.
I feel like if I was the client, I would feel just a tad bit insulted.
Right,
Just based on the language. You're telling me that what I have already, like, basically isn't good enough or that it could be better. Not necessarily, I don't know. I feel like from a client perspective, because I've had this problem before, they're like really, really attached to their brand and like what they already have going. So being like, oh, what you have is okay, but I can make it like okay times 2.
Yeah.
That's kind of like stepping on their toes just a tiny bit.
I like the way you said it. What is your name? Jocelyn. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Woo. That was like real feedback right there.
That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So you guys, did you hear that? I want you to sometimes take yourself out of your own shoes. Right?
Yeah.
The I'm so self-important shoes. And try to hear from the other side. So there's a couple things that you could have done here. So the first thing I'm going to say, what's the difference between amateurs and professionals? Sometimes they use the word expert, but what's the difference? Amateurs give advice. Experts diagnose. How much time did you spend diagnosing the problem?
0 time.
0. You made a lot of assumptions which might make me feel insulted. And you learn how to remember how to spell assume, right?
Yeah.
Let's just write it on the board so everybody knows what assume is. You make an ass out of you, just mostly you, and sometimes me. So let's not assume. So you notice when you ask me a question, what's the first thing that I do? I ask you more questions. Because a position that you're in, it's very hard to move away from that. As Jocelyn pointed out, you become attached. So for a new person who's clearly incentivized to sell me more stuff that I might not need, first of all, my guard is already up. Right? You're operating now in your own self-interest, even though you believe that you're going to help them. So what I would do is form all of your thinking in the form of questions. Okay. Now we want to diagnose the problem. And if you've watched this channel before, you've heard me do this 1,000 times. But I see a lot of new potential fans. So I'm going to say it 1,001 times, okay? Let's talk about a mechanic. You bring your car in. Like, you need a new transmission. You're like, what do you mean? I just got here. No, you need it. But I have a broken headlight. It doesn't matter. How do you feel about that mechanic? You're out. Gone in 60 seconds. Nicolas Cage, right? You go to a doctor. I'm having some pain. We got to operate right now. You see how professionals work? Yeah. Professionals versus amateurs? What you're doing is, we just began a conversation about webcoms. You automatically assume I have cancer. And I'm going to tell you, because I just met you, what's wrong with your business. How does that sound to you?
It's awful.
It's awful. Why would you talk to me like that then? In what way do you work in the universe where you talk to people like that? You ever go into a Starbucks and you're like, you know what? This decor, it's just not working. And the way that you just handle this whole line, let's reorganize the store. I'm going to help you just move the furniture around because you need more business, because you're going to go out of business. That's the door, walk out of it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That's how it sounds. So what we should do is we should try to see if there's a problem first. Is there a problem? So we ask questions to figure out what the problem is. Now you may have a clue as to what the problem is. So you do what doctors do. They generally ask a couple of questions to eliminate possibilities, right? Oh, it's not brain cancer. It's not a heart problem, right? It's not a muscular cardiovascular thing. It's not any of those things. So what is it? So let's ask questions. So let's rewind the tape. Hey, how's it going? I need some help with webcoms. I heard you do amazing webcoms.
Yeah, I really do. I have a lot of clients that were really happy with the work that I've done, and I'd be happy to work with you too. I also do brand strategy if that's what you're looking for. I have helped other clients with their work and would really think that partnering with me would be a great idea. I love what you're doing currently. Your community is really loving you. And I've seen the success that you had in the past, and I'd love to see what's going on and see if I can help in any way.
You're new to this. You're new to this.
I'm very new.
Okay, so first of all, you're just pitching me right now. Do you know that? How do we feel when we're being pitched to, guys? Not good. We're being sold again. So here's the next thing, okay? I want you to stop selling. Stop selling, okay? You want to close more jobs? Start serving. Different S word. How can I be of service to you? You've asked me 0 questions. How can you diagnose if you haven't asked me any questions? Okay? Yeah. Start thinking about some questions you want to ask me. Remember, our goal is to figure out, is there a problem we can solve? Or is there a problem, period, to be solved? Think about that, okay? Yeah. We'll try it. Take 3. Take 3, all right? Here we go again. Rewind the tape. Hey, I heard you do amazing webcoms. Talk to me. Jody?
I do. I have a lot of work that I've done in the past that I am very proud of, and our clients have been really liking it too. How do I kind of gauge that? How do I make that transition, though, for someone who hasn't done it before?
First of all, you guys need to learn how to take a compliment. All right, what's wrong with designers? Like, I gave you a compliment, and you're like, in fact, you're all right, I'm pretty amazing. Let me tell you how amazing I am. And you whip it out, and you're just like, here it is. That's not how you do it. You got to embrace it and pivot right away. Okay? You're amazing.
Like conversational
You're
judo.
a beautiful woman.
Thank you.
And then what did you do? I am really beautiful. As a matter of fact, I checked this morning about how, and I asked 4 friends this morning on Instagram, it said I was beautiful. Right? Come on. Okay, work with me here. So you want to embrace it. You want to embrace it. You do. Okay, you want to do it with me? Or you want to do it one more time?
I don't want to do it.
You got this. You got this. You can do it. You can do it. I believe in you. All right?
All right.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Oh my God, I heard you do some amazing webcoms.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I have to work on taking a compliment first. And then
4 days later. Okay, you did that fine. Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. Move. Ask me one question. That's the rule. Whoever asks more questions in a conversation is in control of the conversation. Got it? That's the rule. Speak less, ask more questions. Got it? Everybody, speak less, ask more questions. We're going to pick it up. Thank you. Okay, now ask me a question.
how are you doing?
No. You know why?
Tell me something that your customers really enjoy about your product.
Okay. All right, it's much better. That's more of a command than a question. Do we not know how to ask questions? That was a question. There's a rising intonation. You know, you got to go up. So tell me how. It's like, okay, you're moving in the right space. Here's why you don't ask them, how are you doing today? Well, I can go on and on and on about my kids and my life and everything is great. What information did you get about the problem?
Nothing.
0.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Okay, everybody start thinking about something right now. In your line of work, a client you've talked to in the past, what kind of question can you ask to help understand what the problem is? Okay? Now, I'm going to teach you a technique. Ask them why.
Why?
Yeah, watch this. You know, questions usually start with who, what, where, when, but the best question is why. Okay? Give me a compliment. We're reversing roles. When I say give me a compliment, I said about webcoms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your webcoms are amazing. I love the work that you did for us.
Thank you. I'm curious why you're calling me about webcoms.
Well, I mean, I've seen the work that you've done in the past, and I thought that you could really help us with our brand.
Right, but why do you specifically believe you need webcoms?
Well, we wanted to increase engagement, and
You could clap. I mean, it's okay, guys, all right? That sounded like a problem. Engagement, go on.
well, I feel like, we've had a very successful fiscal year in the past, but we've seen our sales going down, and we're not exactly sure why.
Sounds like a problem. Number 2, I wish I had my bell, my sound effects board. Ding! Okay, that's one problem. That's another problem, right?
We find it hard to make sure that the people who have bought our stuff in the past keep coming to us. I feel like it's very competitive out there in our particular industry.
Anything else?
I mean, we don't really know where to look. We just look through our metrics and we see it continuously going down, but we're not really sure where to look.
Okay, so you have no idea.
Yeah.
Who built your current webcoms, and why don't you call them to do it now?
Well, we had someone in the past, but the partnership kind of deteriorated.
Why?
Well, they had moved and they weren't really responsive. And I mean, I feel like they have kind of pivoted to other clients and we weren't really exactly in communication anymore. So communication kind of died off. We didn't feel like they had our best interests in mind.
Did they try to sell you something?
They
Were you
did.
talking to this girl named Jody? Who just like talks about herself?
She
and-
really disrespected us.
Oh my God! I hate designers who do that. Don't you?
I do too.
Darn it! Wouldn't life be better if designers didn't pitch all the time?
I know.
Gosh, I feel like I know you really well now. You know what I'd like to do? Here's what I heard. You said that you're looking for a solution. There's an engagement issue. You see a decrease in sales, and that there's greater competition. And the last partner you had wasn't a partner at all. They're non-responsive. They had their own self-interests. They didn't have your best interests at heart. And they weren't good communicators. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's what.
Okay, so it sounds like we need to solve one of these problems. What's going to have the greatest impact on your business if we were to fix any one of these things? What do you think?
Engagement. would be
Engagement. Okay, so what kind of engagement are you having right now? It's
helpful.
roleplay.
400K.
So you have 400,000 impressions a month?
Yes, a month.
Okay, so what would you like it to be?
I wanted to keep continuing, so we thought we were going to hit 600,000.
Okay, so your goal is to increase it to 600,000. And if you were able to do this consistently, what would that mean to your business?
We would get more sales.
Like how much more?
40,000 more in profits.
Okay, so you would increase sales by 40K per month. Okay, so if we were able to hit this, which is an increase of 200,000 impressions, we could equal that. Is that right?
Yeah.
It sounds to me like you have a marketing problem. Is that right?
I guess so. I would trust
Doesn't
your
it?
judgment.
It's like you came in here for webcoms. Maybe there's nothing wrong with the webcoms. Maybe it's a marketing issue. What do you think?
Yes.
Okay. So we do this, and I say, well, gosh, if I multiply this out over a year, what would that equal? 480,000? So you would have a net gain of $480,000 in gross sales if we could just fix the marketing problem.
Yeah.
What would be a good amount of money, something that feels fair to you and to me, to spend against this number to make this happen for you? She sees in the back already.
10,000.
10,000? You would spend 10,000 to make 480,000?
Yeah, it's valuable.
That's valuable? That's like less than, well, I don't know, what percentage is that? I think 10%. 10% of this would be 48K. Right? Now you're saying to me, you're spending a fifth of that, so you're like 2.5%. If you can make an investment today of 2.5% and get this kind of return, we're in the wrong business. Tell me your secret. Could it be that your previous vendor was undervalued, didn't have clarity on the problem because you self-diagnosed, and paid too little to solve a big problem? You know, I'm really into business philosophy. Do you know who Jim Rohn is? He really believes in this. Like, do not spend a small effort for a big result. And don't spend a big effort for a small result. Is this a big effort for your company? Or, I mean, a big result for your company?
Yes.
It is. And you want to spend a small effort. Is that consistent with the way you do your business?
No.
It isn't. So why would we do that now?
I've never seen it like that before. I didn't realize
Okay.
that we could be making this much.
Right. So I think as a shrewd business person, which I recognize you as being, spending $48,000 to get $480 is a bargain. Here's the good news. I won't even charge you $48. I'll charge you $40. How's that?
That sounds amazing.
Let's do business. I'll send over contracts later today. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Fantastic. All right, guys, give her a big, gigantic AAGA 2019 Design Conference applause. Woo! All right, did you guys see that? How much selling was being done here? Right? Zero, like, come on. He's like so hard on me. He's like, there was some salesmanship there. What did I sell? Tell me what I sold. I sold nothing. I just asked her what the problem was. I listened. I asked her how valuable would it be. And then I just wanted to make sure her logic was congruent with a little lecture. A little one. You see how this works? Yeah. Can you guys do this? Yeah? Who can do it? Raise your hand now. You see it? Oh, that's not enough hands. I'm not happy with you. Okay. Sheepishly, some people raise their hand because they feel intimidated. Now, those of you guys that didn't give me a wholehearted, emphatic hand up, why? Talk to me, people. I want to help you make money. Because you know why? When you make money, I make money. No, really. We exist so that you can make money. And then you're going to feel horribly guilty after that, and you're going to send us checks with lots of zeros on it. Because it's a bargain. You know what I'm saying? Because when you make $40,000, which is $38,000 more than you're going to ask for a brand strategy, you can send Uncle Chris 10%. What is that of $38,000? It's a lot. It's $3,800, right? You could buy our catalog for that. Yeah? Just don't forget about us when you do. Okay, so let's get into the details now. Let's get into the nitty and the gritty. Why aren't you raising your hand? Why are you not so like, I got it?
Because my clients don't listen to logic.
Your clients don't listen to logic.
They don't.
Are you logical?
Yes.
Was this logical?
Yeah.
Have you done this before?
Similar.
Similar but
Explaining
not the same.
facts. No.
It's like Pantone 184 or Pantone 186. It's not the same.
True.
See? That wasn't logical, was it? You see? Maybe you're not as logical as you think.
Maybe.
Maybe. All right? Are you having this? So, see, when I teach something, when I show you something, it's kind of important that you kind of follow the program. If you don't, it will seem like I tried it and Chris is a bad teacher or it doesn't work, right? So I told this story yesterday. I'm going to keep telling this story forever, right? Gary Vaynerchuk says this, right? What's a basketball worth? What's the net worth of a basketball? He said, to me, torn ACL, 2 blown Achilles heel. It's worth negative to me. He says, give LeBron James the basketball, it's worth $1 billion. Is the basketball the problem? Did the basketball work? Of course it works. Just because it didn't work for you doesn't mean it doesn't work. Almost all of my clients, there's very few, that would have a normal, rational conversation with a stakeholder of the business, that's key, who's an entrepreneur. Those are 2 key things you need. If you're not speaking to a stakeholder, somebody who's got skin in the game, they're just thinking about their boss. This will not work because they don't know what to do. Follow so far? Yes. They also need to be entrepreneurial because a person who doesn't value their time doesn't value your time. That's critical too. So when you meet somebody who's not an entrepreneur, isn't a decision maker, say, thank you very much, let me refer you to somebody else, and leave. All right? That's it.
I just had a question.
Yeah.
When you're working, like I'm working with a particular client, and she kind of has her foot in both realms. She's a manager, but she also has a lot of say in what they do with their finances. And she's very afraid of taking any kind of risk, even small, tiny risk, with their funds. So getting her to do even the tiniest of things, like let's do a mailer so your business can get more clients. She will opt for
Wendy,
what
do
she
you have
can
a
get
question?
for free. Yes.
Ask me the question.
How do I do that? How do I get her to not think that she's getting, like I feel like she thinks she's getting ripped off, but I'm not ripping her off. Like she's so money conscious that she's unable to take
I'll
a
tell
risk.
you the answer. Okay,
Yeah.
so we all need a little practice on asking questions, right?
True.
Let's all practice every single day from here on forward, okay? Everybody, please just learn how to ask better questions because a question clearly framed is 90% of the problem already. When you ask the wrong question, like how are you, we're going to get all kinds of answers that are not going to help us at all. So Wendy's question is, I'm having a hard time from people to understand value,
Yes.
right? Mm-hmm. Was this hard to follow?
It's easy to follow.
Okay, can you do this?
Yes.
I'm going to show you another thing, all
Okay.
right? Let's do that. So here's the problem. Usually, when it's you, you're talking to a client, all right? You guys see the drawing? Sorry. There's the eye, right? When you're talking to the client, you get right into the money, right? Right? You talk about money first. You
Yes.
talk about price, right? Or, no, I'm sorry, you don't talk about price. Usually when you talk to a client, what's the first thing you talk about?
Well, I ask her like what she's interested in, like what's the project,
Scope.
Why does she need the project?
Right, so you're going to do scope first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then based on the scope, you're probably using time as a measurement,
Yes.
right? Times your rate, like hours, right? I'm sorry, I didn't do that right. How much time is it going to take? Multiply by your rate. Is that about right?
Yes.
Yeah, most people do that. Nod your head, yeah? Okay. That will then equal price. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the problem. This is all about you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So price, when do you determine value? Do you ever talk about value? Rarely.
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 I try to get value in there, but I don't think that I'm very good at expressing it.
Okay. So then you might talk about value.
Mm-hmm.
And how many designers here talk about quantifiable success metrics? Not man, I know you do. Okay, all right. So sometimes you talk about metrics, right? So the problem is we have the sequence entirely wrong.
Okay.
We have it entirely wrong. If we look back here, right?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, what we need to do is talk about a desired future state. What is it that you're trying to do? Why are you even doing this to begin with? Where would you like to be a year from now, 3 years from now? What are we trying to do? So the client gets to dream. They get to whiteboard a future that's positive, full of hope, results, all the good stuff, right? That's what we did. We talked about desired future state. And you notice I kept asking her, if this works out, what's it going to do for you? She gave me fluffy answers. I said, no, quantifiable, measurable things, right? So we need to define what the success metrics are. Follow so far? How will we measure success? You describe some pie in the sky. How will we measure? Right? And then how valuable was that to you? This is how you have the money conversation, okay? How valuable is that to you? Well, she said $480,000.
Right.
Then from that, I could define the price, right? Notice in our role play with Jody, I never figured out what the scope was. Did we talk about what it is? How many posts, resolution, typefaces, brand colors? We didn't talk about any of that. So you see, we're like approaching this problem the wrong way. This is how you have the money conversation. So there's a good chance it's not working for you right now, Wendy. It's because you're starting with the scope.
Okay.
When I see scope, I just think about your rate. Your rate's too high. Why does it take so long? I want less time, lower rate. And they negotiate you down. You ever had that? You send a client a bid. Almost everybody who does it has that problem. I don't think I need this, this, and that. And what are they trying to do?
I literally am in that process with her right now.
Yeah. So you're literally getting jacked right now.
Yes.
Because what they're going to do,
they're going to
do is they're going to pretend like they're a creative person. They're going to pretend like they know how to art direct you and manage you and tell you what you need and what you don't need. And why is that? Because you made it super easy for them to do it. You served it on a silver platter, and it's called an estimate. You gave it to them to tear apart. Right? Let me do a little drawing. I assume I know what your estimate looks like, but I'm going to make an ass out of you and me in a second, right? You go item A, you describe it. It sounds amazing. And then you put a price, right? And you're going to show your calculations like X times this, right? Item B times that. And then you total it up.
Yep.
They don't like that word, they don't like this, and they don't like that. So they're going to go and take this out. Minus $10,000 off your bid.
Yep.
And then this leaves you looking like this. Just like, well, let me draw that. That's kind of like what it's leaving you like. Lower lip pout. Right? So that's the problem. So if we want to learn how to price our work, we need to begin with what is it we're trying to do. And in doing it this way, we elevate the conversation away from the tactical to the strategic.
Okay.
Now think about this. Very few people in our industry talk about the success metrics in any kind of real way. They think about like awareness, about brand integrity,
Gotcha.
crap that you can't measure. If I can't measure it, how do I know it's doing better?
Okay.
So it's very hard to do that. I'm not saying it's not measurable, it's just hard to measure.
Okay.
Okay? So that's the problem. You need to change the sequence. Can you do that?
Yes.
And there's a book that you can read. It's called Pricing Creativity. It's by Blair Enns. It's amazing.
Okay.
This is all in it. All right? But I just taught it to you.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Go buy the book, though, if you want. It's like
All right.
$250. Okay. Now I want to get back to Paul. Because she hijacked your question, Paul. Did you see that?
Sorry.
Paul's like, I'm here challenging. And then all of a sudden, Winnie's like, nah.
Well, I thought
I was
understood,
here.
but I didn't.
I got squatter rights. All right? So hand the mic back to Paul, please. Paul, can we talk about this? How you're so logical?
Yes.
And very polite, by the way, Paul.
Oh.
Okay, so let's go.
All right.
What's the problem?
Problem is that I bring in this logic and say, based on what you guys are doing, we recommend that you have a website, something like that. Like, oh yeah, that's exactly what we were looking for. Okay, what kind of value is that going to bring to your company? Well, we don't really know what kind of value that's going to bring to the company. I just have a number in my mind of what I think that should cost.
Okay, so you haven't had the right conversation with
Well,
them.
so yeah, I'm learning. I'm
So
learning.
duh. So what you're doing is not
But the other part of it
Yeah.
is I go through the logic of what I would recommend for them. Okay, based on everything that you need, I think we need to go with a number of like $40,000 for this. Well, no, I only want to spend
no, guys, there's a
$5,000.
big problem. Okay, you just skipped over all of this and went straight to price.
True, true.
That's the biggest problem. Okay? Now, this is what my business coach taught me. No matter what the number is, it's neither high nor low. Context allows us to decide. Right? Now, I'm holding this marker, And because you see my hand, my face, and my body, and you can make an assessment, you can assume this marker is about, I don't know, 4.5, 5 inches long, right?
Yep.
But if I took a photo of this next to a building, you're like, oh my God, that's an art installation. It's the context that allows us to compare things. It's how we learn how we know. So, would you consider giving me $30,000, Paul?
Consider giving you $30,000 for what?
For services I'm going to help you with. Would you consider that?
I'm not sure. What are your services?
Right, so we would have to talk.
Yes.
So I would say, well, is $30,000 a lot of money for you?
Yes.
It is. But if I told you, if you spent $30,000, I can help you quadruple your business, is $30,000 a lot of money?
Yes.
Is $30,000 a lot of money compared to quadrupling your business?
No.
Right, that's the answer. And then we can get into the details. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you throw out a number without me understanding the value, I need to understand it, not you. The client needs to understand the value. So another thing that I say a lot is, when you say it, you're selling. When they say it, you're closing. So if you ask questions, there's a strong probability that they're saying it. So you haven't learned how to phrase it yet, or you let go too quick. First sign of trouble, you go straight to the price. Stay in there. Let's figure out what success looks like and how do we measure it, okay?
Understood.
All right. How much you guys pay to be here? 1,100. Okay. 16? 800? All right. Now, all three of you guys have had very different experiences here. Based on your experience thus far, if we said, congratulations, the conference is over, see you guys next year, how much would you have paid to learn exactly what you learned again? $800. Fair answer. Between 1,000 and 800. Ooh, that's not good. You could pay twice as much. Nobody's listening to this at all. We have three very different experiences right now. Now, I just want to make sure we're clear, because sometimes people on the internet yell at me, like, you didn't ask it clearly. Let me give you one more shot at this. Ted, based on the value you got from this conference, what price would you pay? Name your own price. Wendy, back to you. How much would you pay based on the value? Name your own price. 1,000. So she's going at the high end on this one. Do you notice what we just did here? I accidentally walked into a pricing theory on you guys right now. When you name a price, what happens? You could be underselling yourself. When you talk about value and you let the client decide how valuable it is, in all instances, it's at the top end. Try to process that for a little bit. You understand? So the mistake is to talk about price really early. It's a big problem. Okay, now, why is it that each one of you guys has quite a bit different experience? I'm going to start with Seth. Seth paid a lot. He wants to pay even more. And why? What did you get?
So, I mean, for me, it's different. As an independent designer, you know, project to project, I can adjust my income, right? If I leverage some of these ideas, right? And networking and connections. I'm not in a salary position.
Yeah, I see.
So for me, anything tangible, practical I take away from this, it better, but I know that it will pay back.
It
and
will.
pay for itself,
Think of the
right?
positive affirmative.
It will pay for itself.
Okay, look.
Yes, right.
Look at this. It's almost like I scripted this. It's almost like if we texted each other before, like, will you do this right here? Look what he's done. Name your own price. Price is higher. Okay? When you speak to an entrepreneur, a decision maker who's not risk averse, the maximum value can be extracted. You see this? Because this gentleman, and we don't know each other, right, Seth?
Now we do.
All right. Nice to meet you. So we don't know each other. And all of a sudden, he's proving everything I'm saying to be true. This is not scripted. So when you guys are looking for a client, you're looking for somebody just like Seth. A decision maker, an entrepreneur who's not afraid to take risk. He's not a cheapwad either. Boy, do I have some courses to sell you after this, all right? Because he can take a little bit of information and make gold out of that. He can spin this yarn into an amazing golden fleece, right? That's what you can do, okay? So that's what's happening. So if we, the organization, can deliver something that's of tangible value to you, you will pay any price. Because you're thinking about your future. Okay, so let me take this home because we're almost done here. In terms of the pricing conversation, okay, let's recap. Let's recap real quick, all right? This is my lightning recap. Let's start here, okay? Jody, who's no longer here, Jody's first question was upsell. So the word sell is in there, and upsell says it's all about me, not about them. Because what she wanted to do was she was selling all the time. What she should be doing is thinking about how to serve, how to help her client achieve their goal. That's what you should be doing. Sometimes the problem is not a problem you can solve, but that doesn't mean that you should only ask questions about problems you can solve, because then you're serving yourself once again. You need to learn to ask questions, better questions. Who, what, why? Why tends to be the better kind of question. Whoever asks more questions, the conversation is in control. Remember that, okay? And when you say it, you're selling, and when they say it, you're closing, and that's what you want to do. You want to be closing. The number one thing in your mind, no matter what problem they come to you, is to try to find the real problem. Because people who self-diagnose, I need a web comp, usually don't know what they're doing. And they admit, once you give them space to say, we don't know what we're doing. So we should probably not take advice from somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. And you didn't have to say that. She said it, right? Jody said it herself. And once we ask enough kinds of questions, because we have a theory, oh, it's not this one, it's not this one, oh, it's this one. Let's lean in on that. Let's find out what it is. Once we figure it out, we are actually talking about their desired future state. They envision a company that's successful, that they have no competition, they're the envy of everybody, and they have increased sales. We talk about the value to them in a way that's quantifiable, and then we ask for a percentage of that value created, discounted for uncertainty. If we charge $480,000, companies would still take that deal because they can reap the rewards year 2, 3, and 4, right? So we discount it for uncertainty. It means I cannot guarantee everything that's going to work because I don't control your operations. So I'm going to give you a great discount, a 90% discount. We're also doing something called price anchoring. Notice when we talk about this number, everybody's thinking, like I'm the mentalist, $480,000. So when they say 10, that seems anemic, doesn't it? It seems a little bit too small. Too small. But if I started thinking about $2,000, 10 is a giant amount. So you need to know anchoring bias is something we all deal with. We just deal with a little piece of information and we're stuck. So when you let them name this price, when you let them name their own price, that's where the real value comes in. And now you can negotiate, okay? You guys got that? Okay. Notice here, I snuck one in on you. I asked them how their previous experience was. I asked them, why would you want to work with me? What happened to your last experience? What do? They sell me to themselves. And they don't know if I'm responsive. They don't know I'm a good communicator. They don't know if I will respect them. They just assume it. And a lot of you guys hear this, you think I'm selling to you. I'm not selling to you. You sold yourself, you know? You're the fish that jumped in the boat and said, you caught me. Or did I? You just jumped in the boat. All right. To have the money conversation, what we learned is we're doing this all wrong. We're doing it backwards. We're doing it backwards, right? We should not be talking about the scope and then determining the price and maybe have a conversation about value and then measure the success later. We're doing it all wrong. We should be talking about the desired future state first, figure out how we're going to measure that, determine the value together, and then we can determine price. And then we're now allowed to determine how we solve these problems. This is not dictated to us by the client. This is how you go from a multi-page bid to a single-page bid with one price. One price, okay? And the price, we said, was going to be $40,000. We don't need to have a weird number. We like whole round numbers. That's it. We're not going to say 40,272. Why would we not say that? That seems very accurate. You put a lot of time and thought into that. You guys do this? I used to do this. I used to make my numbers like all weird like this, right? Because it looked like I really tried. In the back, I'm like, 3 sounds better than a 4. The number sequence looks good visually. You know what I'm talking about? It feels like they put a lot of time and effort. The problem is a number that this accurate implies there's a pricing formula. Like you put this through a formula. And anytime you have a formula, I can argue with you. As soon as you do that, I can say, how'd you come up with that number? I don't know, I just made it up. No, you can't say that. Well, I factored in time, distance from the moon, and gravity, and that's how I came up with that. Right? And then they're going to unbundle it, they're going to break you down. Don't do that. Keep referring to this when you talk about this. Notice, too, another rule from the book, you say a price before you show a price. I'm not going to build a stupid bid because I'm not in the bid making business. I'm in the getting money from the client to pay me, to value me business. So when you get an agreement on the number, only then build your bid. If you say, okay, how does 40,000 sound? And they're like hemming and hawing, Whoa, let's address that issue right now. Too much or too little? Never assume it's too much. Never. Never ever? Never ever. Because sometimes like, Chris, I don't think that's going to do it. I'm like, really? I think we need to do 70, 80,000. Then I'm like, are you sure? Then they convince themselves one more time. And believe it or not, some clients get nervous about spending too little, right? I mean, do you go and buy the cheapest LASIK surgery? You better not, because you only got 2 of these. And if it's jacked, it's game over, right? Except for me, I use my mouth, right? I have to read in Braille, it's okay. So you see what I'm saying? Okay, that's it. We're not getting kicked out, but I think we're going to wrap up the live stream. You guys, thank you very much for being here, for being a part of this, for being so open and generous. I appreciate you guys, all right?